I got up this morning and I looked out of the window and the sky is blue, no chemtrails today, and the sun is shining. Of course, where I am in England on the south coast, it's coming ever more closer to winter, and so the sun is low and it will continue to get low in the sky as it makes its way. And of course, the days will be slightly shorter and the nights longer. So it is important very much at this time of year to get as much of the sunlight as you can. Of course, in other parts of the world, the reverse is happening. They're coming out of the winter and approaching summer, spring and summer, and so they're getting a lot more light. But if you're in this part of the world, this hemisphere, I think it's absolutely essential that we embrace the sun. It is such a natural thing. We as human beings, of course, we grew up under the rays of the sun, not, as in this case, rays of artificial LED lights, which is basically a blue light that is unnatural. And we as humans, we've seemed to have taken ourselves out of nature, out of the natural beautiful sunlight. We were told, weren't we, for ages, for years, I think we've only just begun to realise that the sun is not poison to us. We were told, badly manipulated, that we had to rub on special sun creams in case we got some terrible burning skin problems and diseases. And yet that, of course, is a complete pack of lies. Obviously, if you haven't been out in the sun and you go on holiday somewhere, then you take it very carefully to build up your exposure to the sun. But ordinarily, we should be exposed to the sun all the time. And the skin is it's natural to be out there. And yet, of course, as I say, we've been lied to that actually, oh no, the rays from the sun are bad, wear this cream. And again, it's somebody else manufacturing something and making money out of our fear that the sun is a bad place to be, which is a complete lie. And actually what tends to then happen is you not getting sufficient vitamin D. And this time of year, we desperately need to get as much vitamin D as we can to get outside and embrace the sunshine. It seems to me that this whole progression that we've seen for the last 100 years, in which we call ourselves sophisticated, cultivated, urbane even, we call ourselves these clever, wonderful people who work behind screens on computers. We don't do manual labour. We stay inside under strip lights and work for call centres or inside offices or manufacturing where we're all under artificial light. Now, in the old days, perhaps the old incandescent bulb that you can no longer buy, those filaments, weren't too bad. They had a little bit of the bigger range of rays in them, in the colour spectrum. But these days, to save money, everything's on these LED lights, which is just not very healthy. A blue light that first thing in the morning, I understand, is there to sort of wake you up and get you alert. But as the sun would ordinarily make its arc around, the other rays of the spectrum would be onto us. What is that doing for our health overall? Probably not much. Now, excuse me, I'm no expert, but there is something inside me telling me that we need to get outside much more, to get back to nature, away from the tarmac and the glass and the steel and the paving slabs and the high-rise buildings and the noise and the sirens, but to get back into the bird song, the rustle of the leaves, the wind, and feel on ourselves that beautiful sun, which is what they used to pray to and wait for it to rise over the horizon, for it graced their crops and grew their food. And we've forgotten all of this. We've gone into this convenient world where everything else is done for us. We don't know where our food comes from anymore. We don't appreciate how important sunlight is, because we can just, at a flick of a switch on some electronic artificial light. We think we're so clever. We think we're so good. And yet actually, we've complicated our lives so much that we've forgotten what is really important to us. The most simplest things is the more important than anything else. And I think that only comes with maturity. When you're young, you see your parents and you think of them, oh, look at them stuck in the mud, stuck in the old ways. We want the new. We want the new computerized technology, these wonderful mobile phones that equally are blasting out that blue light into the faces. We're staying hemmed down inside these little sort of circles of nothingness, and not embracing the great world that is out there, the large vistas, the scenery, the beautiful hills, the landscape, the heritage and the nature that is all around us. Although we've managed to kill off so much of that nature, the bees and the birds and the mammals, we no longer see them. We don't know them. We don't know the names of plants. We can't recognize those animals in the landscape. We don't think of them as being important, and we don't think of ourselves as being part of them. We've moved ourselves out, and we're now being pushed ever more into these ghettos, these concentration camps without the razor wire, of new builds on farmers' land, of concrete and tarmac and glass and mean windows, and nobody talking to one another. We can't remember what it's like to be outside and with a hearty good morning, how are you, what are you up to, you complete stranger who I do not know, what's going on in your world? We've lost that. We're hemmed in. We now only talk to our phones. The younger generation are the worst. They can't even talk to each other without just these grunts. You thought it was just teenagers going through a phase. But now nobody, fearful of saying the wrong thing, the woke agenda in which you accidentally use somebody's wrong pronouns. Not that you would ever call that to themselves anyway. You would call them by their name, presumably. But no, you might accidentally say something which is now deemed racist, or is biggest, smallest, extremist, or something. We're so frightened to be able to say what we want, to express ourselves. And we must. We must, if we are going to save ourselves from the tyranny and the dictatorial way that is being pushed on us by governments that are anti-human and not fit for purpose, and we don't need. We need to brace ourselves and get back into the sun, get back into nature, feel the wonders of the world that is outdoors and not just inside under these artificial blue lights, which are doing in our brain, shutting down the pineal gland and giving us terrible disease problems. We need to get out, and we need to see the sun, and we need to embrace it and be free again, free, so that we know and realize where we're being oppressed by a government and other corporations, dead entities that do not have our best interests at heart. Get out into that sun and enjoy the vibrations and the energy that was there, which was our destiny. Embrace it and enjoy it, for it is where we ought to be.